An Evening Walk, addressed to a young lady. Written in 1787 to 1789, by William Wordsworth. Far from my dearest friend, 'tis mine to rove through bare grey dell, high wood, and pastoral cove, where Derwent rests, and listens to the roar that stuns the tremulous cliffs of Hyladore, where peace to Grasmere's lonely island leads, to willowy hedgerows, and to emerald meads, leads to her bridge, rude church, and cottaged grounds, her rocky sheepwalks, and her woodland bounds, where, undisturbed by winds, Winander sleeps mid clustering aisles, and holly-sprinkled steeps, where twilight glens endear my Esthwaite's shore, and memory of departed pleasures, more. Fair scenes, erewhile, I taught, a happy child, the echoes of your rocks my carols wild, the spirit sought not then, in cherished sadness, a cloudy substitute for failing gladness. In youth's keen eye the livelong day was bright, the sun at morning, and the stars at night, alike, when first the bittern's hollow bill was heard, or woodcocks roamed the moonlight hill. In thoughtless gaiety I coursed the plain, and hope itself was all I knew of pain, for then, the inexperienced heart would beat at times, while young content forsook her seat, and wild impatience, pointing upward, showed, through passes yet unreached, a brighter road. Alas! The idle tale of man is found depicted in the dial's moral round. Hope with reflection blends her social rays to gild the total tablet of his days, yet still, the sport of some malignant power, he knows but from its shade the present hour. But why, ungrateful, dwell on idle pain? To show what pleasures yet to me remain, say, will my friend, with unreluctant ear, the history of a poet's evening hear. When, in the south, the wan noon, brooding still, breathed a pale steam around the glaring hill, and shades of deep embattled clouds were seen, spotting the northern cliffs with lights between, when crowding cattle, checked by rails that make a fence far stretched into the shallow lake, lashed the cool water with their restless tails, or from high points of rock looked out for fanning gales, when schoolboys stretched their length upon the green, and round the broad spread oak, a glimmering scene. In the rough fern-clad park, the herded deer shook the still twinkling tail and glancing ear, when horses in the sunburnt intake stood, and vainly eyed below the tempting flood, or tracked the passenger, in mute distress, with forward neck the closing gate to press. Then, while I wandered where the huddling rill brightens with water breaks the hollow gill as by enchantment, an obscure retreat opened at once, and stayed my devious feet. While thick above the rill the branches close, in rocky basin its wild waves repose, inverted shrubs, and moss of gloomy green, cling from the rocks, with pale woodweeds between, and its own twilight softens the whole scene, save where aloft the subtle sunbeams shine on withered briars that o'er the crags recline, save where, with sparkling foam, a small cascade illumines, from within, the leafy shade, beyond, along the vista of the brook, where antique roots its bustling course o'erlook. The eye reposes on a secret bridge half grey, half shagged with ivy to its ridge. There, bending o'er the stream, the listless swain lingers behind his disappearing wain. Did Sabine grace adorn my living line, bland Usia's praise, wild stream, should yield to thine. Never shall ruthless minister of death mid thy soft glooms the glittering steel unsheath, no goblets shall, for thee, be crowned with flowers, no kid with piteous outcry thrill thy bowers, the mystic shapes that by thy margin rove a more benignant sacrifice approve, a mind, that, in a calm angelic mood of happy wisdom, meditating good, beholds, of all from her high powers required, much done, and much designed, and more desired, harmonious thoughts, a soul by truth refined, entire affection for all humankind. Dear brook, farewell. Tomorrow's noon again shall hide me, wooing long thy wildwood strain, but now the sun has gained his western road, and eve's mild hour invites my steps abroad. While, near the midway cliff, the silvered kite in many a whistling circle wheels her flight, slant watery lights, from parting clouds, apace travel along the precipice's base, cheering its naked waste of scattered stone, by lichens grey, and scanty moss, o'ergrown, where scarce the foxglove peeps, or thistle's beard, and restless stone chat, all day long, is heard. How pleasant, as the sun declines, to view the spacious landscape change in form and hue. Here, vanish, as in mist, before a flood of bright obscurity, hill, lawn, and wood, there, objects, by the searching beams betrayed, come forth, and here retire in purple shade, even the white stems of birch, the cottage white, soften their glare before the mellow light, the skiffs, at anchor where with umbrage wide yon chestnuts half the latticed boathouse hide, shed from their sides, that face the sun's slant beam, strong flakes of radiance on the tremulous stream, raised by yon travelling flock. A dusty cloud mounts from the road, and spreads its moving shroud, the shepherd, all involved in wreaths of fire, now shows a shadowy speck, and now is lost entire. Into a gradual calm the breezes sink, a blue rim borders all the lake's still brink, there doth the twinkling aspen's foliage sleep, and insects clothe, like dust, the glassy deep. And now, on every side, the surface breaks into blue spots, and slowly lengthening streaks, here, plots of sparkling water tremble bright with thousand twinkling points of light, there, waves that, hardly weltering, die away, tip their smooth ridges with a softer ray, and now the whole wide lake in deep repose is hushed, and like a burnished mirror glows, save where, along the shady western marge, coasts, with industrious oar, the charcoal barge. Their panniard train a group of potters goad, winding from side to side up the steep road, the peasant, from yon cliff of fearful edge, shot, down the headlong path darts with his sledge, bright beams the lonely mountain horse illume feeding mid purple heath, green rings, and broom, while the sharp slope the slackened team confounds, downward the ponderous timber wain resounds, in foamy breaks the rill, with merry song, dashed o'er the rough rock, lightly leaps along. From lonesome chapel at the mountain's feet, 3 humble bells their rustic chime repeat, sounds from the waterside the hammered boat, and blasted quarry thunders, heard remote. Even here, amid the sweep of endless woods, blue pomp of lakes, high cliffs and falling floods, not undelightful are the simplest charms, found by the grassy door of mountain farms. Sweetly ferocious, round his native walks, pride of his sister wives, the monarch stalks, spur-clad his nervous feet, and firm his tread, a crest of purple tops the warrior's head. Right sparks his black and rolling eyeball hurls afar, his tail he closes and unfurls, on tiptoe reared, he saint reins his clarion throat, threatened by faintly answering farms remote, again with his shrill voice the mountain rings, while, flapped with conscious pride, resound his wings. Where, mixed with graceful birch, the sombrous pine and yew tree or the silver rocks recline, I love to mark the quarry's moving trains, dwarf panniard steeds, and men, and numerous wains, how busy all the enormous hive within, while echo dallies with its various din. Some, hear you not their chisels' clinking sound? Toil, small as pygmies in the gulf profound. Some, dim between the lofty cliffs descried, o'erwalk the slender plank from side to side. These, by the pale blue rocks that ceaseless ring, in airy baskets hanging, work and sing. Just where a cloud above the mountain rears an edge all flame, the broadening sun appears, a long blue bar its aegis orb divides and breaks the spreading of its golden tides. And now that orb has touched the purple steep whose softened image penetrates the deep. Cross the calm lake's blue shades the cliffs aspire, with towers and woods, a prospect all on fire, while coves and secret hollows, through a ray of fainter gold, a purple gleam betray. Each slip of lawn the broken rocks between shines in the light with more than earthly green, deep yellow beams the scattered stems illume, far in the level forest's central gloom, waving his hat, the shepherd, from the vale, directs his winding dog the cliffs to scale. The dog, loud barking, mid the glittering rocks, hunts, where his master points, the intercepted flocks. Where oaks o'erhang the road the radiance shoots on tawny earth, wild weeds, and twisted roots, the druid stones a brightened ring unfold, and all the babbling brooks are liquid gold, sunk to a curve. The day star lessens still, gives one bright glance, and drops behind the hill. In these secluded vales, if village fame, confirmed by hoary hairs, belief may claim, when up the hills, as now, retired the light, strange apparitions mocked the shepherd's sight. The form appears of one that spurs his steed midway along the hill with desperate speed, unhurt pursues his lengthened flight, while all attend, at every stretch, his headlong fall. Anon, appears a brave, a gorgeous show of horsemen shadows moving to and fro, at intervals imperial banners stream, and now the van reflects the solar beam, the rear through iron brown betrays a sullen gleam. While silent stands the admiring crowd below, silent the visionary warriors go, winding in ordered pomp their upward way till the last banner of their long array has disappeared, and every trace is fled of splendor, save the beacon's spiry head tipped with eve's latest gleam of burning red. Now, while the solemn evening shadows sail, on slowly waving pinions, down the vale, and, fronting the bright west, yon oak entwines its darkening boughs and leaves in stronger lines. 'Tis pleasant near the tranquil lake to stray where, winding on along some secret bay, the swan uplifts his chest, and backward flings his neck, a varying arch. Between his towering wings, the eye that marks the gliding creature sees how graceful pride can be, and how majestic ease. While tender cares and mild domestic loves with furtive watch pursue her as she moves, the female with a meeker charm succeeds, and her brown little ones around her leads, nibbling the water lilies as they pass, or playing wanton with the floating grass. She, in a mother's care, her beauty's pride forgetting, calls the weary to her side, alternately they mount her back, and rest close by her mantling wings embraces pressed. Long may they float upon this flood serene, theirs be these homes untrodden, still, and green, where leafy shades fence off the blustering gale, and breathes in peace the lily of the vale. Yon isle, which feels not even the milkmaid's feet, yet hears her song, by distance made more sweet, yon isle conceals their home, their hut-like bower, green water rushes overspread the floor, long grass and willows form the woven wall, and swings above the roof the poplar tall. Thence issuing often with unwieldy stalk, they crush with broad black feet their flowery walk, or, from the neighbouring water, hear at morn the hound, the horse's tread, and mellow horn, involve their serpent necks in changeful rings, roll wantonly between their slippery wings, or, starting up with noise and rude delight, force half upon the wave their cumbrous flight. Fair swan, by all a mother's joys caressed, haply some wretch has eyed, and called thee blessed, when with her infants, from some shady seat by the lake's edge, she rose, to face the noontide heat, or taught the limbs along the dusty road a few short steps to totter with their load. I see her now, denied to lay her head, on cold blue nights, in hut or straw-built shed, turn to a silent smile their sleepy cry, by pointing to the gliding moon on high. When low-hung clouds each star of summer hide, and fireless are the valleys far and wide, where the brook brawls along the public road dark with bat-haunted ashes stretching broad, oft has she taught them on her lap to lay the shining glowworm, or, in heedless play, toss it from hand to hand, disquieted, while others, not unseen, are free to shed green unmolested light upon their mossy bed. Oh! When the sleety showers her path assail, and like a torrent roars the headstrong gale, no more her breath can thaw their fingers cold, their frozen arms her neck no more can fold, weak roof a cowering form two babes to shield, and faint the fire a dying heart can yield. Press the sad kiss, fond mother. Vainly fears thy flooded cheek to wet them with its tears, no tears can chill them, and no bosom warms, thy breast their deathbed, coffined in thine arms. Sweet are the sounds that mingle from afar, heard by calm lakes, as peeps the folding star, where the duck dabbles mid the rustling sedge, and feeding pike starts from the water's edge, or the swan stirs the reeds, his neck and bill wetting, that drip upon the water still, and heron, as resounds the trodden shore, shoots upward, darting his long neck before. Now, with religious awe, the farewell light blends with the solemn colouring of night, mid groves of clouds that crest the mountain's brow, and round the west's proud lodge their shadows throw, like Una shining on her gloomy way, the half-seen form of twilight roams astray, shedding, through pally loopholes mild and small, gleams that upon the lake's still bosom fall, soft o'er the surface creep those lustres pale tracking the motions of the fitful gale. With restless interchange at once the bright winds on the shade upon the light. No favoured I was e'er allowed to gaze on lovelier spectacle in fairy days, when gentle spirits urged a sportive chase, brushing with lucid wands the water's face, while music, stealing round the glimmering deeps, charmed the tall circle of the enchanted steeps. The lights are vanished from the watery plains, no wreck of all the pageantry remains. Unheeded night has overcome the vales, on the dark earth the wearied vision fails, the latest lingerer of the forest train, the lone black fir, forsakes the faded plain, last evening sight, the cottage smoke, no more, lost in the thickened darkness, glimmers hoar, and, towering from the sullen dark brown mere, like a black wall, the mountain steeps appear. Now o'er the soothed accordant heart we feel a sympathetic twilight slowly steal, and ever, as we fondly muse, we find the soft gloom deepening on the tranquil mind. Stay. Pensive, sadly pleasing visions, stay. Ah no. As fades the veil, they fade away, yet still the tender, vacant gloom remains, still the cold cheek its shuddering tear retains. The bird, who ceased, with fading light, to thread silent the hedge or steamy rivulet's bed, from his grey reappearing tower shall soon salute with gladsome note the rising moon, while with a hoary light she frosts the ground, and pours a deeper blue to ether's bound, pleased, as she moves, her pomp of clouds to fold in robes of azure, fleecy white, and gold. Above yon eastern hill, where darkness broods o'er all its vanished dells, and lawns, and woods, where but a mass of shade the sight can trace, even now she shows, half veiled, her lovely face, across the gloomy valley flings her light, far to the western slopes with hamlets white, and gives, where woods the checkered upland strew, to the green corn of summer, autumn's hue. Thus hope, first pouring from her blessed horn her dawn, far lovelier than the moon's own morn, till higher mounted, strives in vain to cheer the weary hills, impervious, blackening near, yet does she still, undaunted, throw the while on darling spots remote her tempting smile. Even now she decks for me a distant scene, for dark and broad the gulf of time between, gilding that cottage with her fondest ray, sole born, sole wish, sole object of my way, how fair its lawns and sheltering woods appear. How sweet its streamlet murmurs in mine ear, where we, my friend, to happy days shall rise, till our small share of hardly paining sighs, for sighs will ever trouble human breath, creep hushed into the tranquil breast of death. But now the clear bright moon her zenith gains, and, rimy without speck, extend the plains. The deepest cleft the mountain's front displays scarce hides a shadow from her searching rays, from the dark blue faint silvery threads divide the hills, while gleams below the azure tide, time softly treads. Throughout the landscape breathes a peace enlivened, not disturbed, by wreaths of charcoal smoke, that o'er the fallen wood, steal down the hill, and spread along the flood. The song of mountain streams, unheard by day, now hardly heard, beguiles my homeward way. Air listens, like the sleeping water, still, to catch the spiritual music of the hill, broke only by the slow clock tolling deep, or shout that wakes the ferryman from sleep, the echoed hoof nearing the distant shore, the boat's first motion, made with dashing oar, sound of closed gate, across the water borne, hurrying the timid hare through rustling corn, the sportive outcry of the mocking owl, and at long intervals the mill dog's howl, the distant forge's swinging thump profound or yell, in the deep woods of lonely hound.